Life is strange. Life is funny. And it's the strange and funny that one man has been collecting for over 20 years.
I take only stories that are reported as news that some editor said to a reporter, go get me who, what, when, where, why. And most of the stories in News of the Weird are actually from some public record somewhere.
Stories that boggle the imagination, tickle the funny bone, and prove conclusively that there's just nothing weirder than people themselves. Chuck Shepard has been collecting weird news stories for nearly 20 years. His popular syndicated column, News of the Weird, appears in over 300 newspapers nationwide with a combined circulation of more than 11 million readers. Shepard has co-authored several hot-selling books, as well as creating a network of multiple websites that get over 40,000 hits a week. And now, what was once only available through print and the internet is coming to television and your viewers.
My mission is to let people know, since they are aware that civilization is in decline, that it's other people who are the problem and not them.
From around the corner to around the planet, we probe the globe to bring you the breaking news, true stories of the weird, the bizarre, the unusual, and the ridiculous, as reported in newspapers and telecasts across the nation and the world. Our lead stories tonight.
Thought you were safe? All tucked in and cozy? Well, not anymore. Weird news is coming to your home.
A drunk driving accident gives new meaning to out of sight, out of mind.
A New York man is arrested for placing women on a pedestal, and we'll show you why.
And our special update on how a tormented tot's tempestuous tantrum terrified Tampa. I'm Bob Stockel.
Very good. And I'm Rhonda Shear, and this is News of the Weird.
News of the Weird, with special correspondents Barclay Randall, Shane Caldwell, and Brooke Bryant.
And now to the week's top stories. Kevin and Montgomery Ford were charged with several serious driving offenses in Buffalo, New York, after Montgomery drove Kevin's car up a telephone pole guy wire and flipped over. Kevin explained to police that after they'd been drinking at a party, he gave the keys to Montgomery. A smart thing to do, except for the fact that Montgomery is completely blind. Kevin explained, however, that his brother always wanted to drive.
Charges were recently filed against plumber Joseph Conretta of Mineola, New York, for a violation in a women's restroom at Nassau Community College. Rhonda Shear explains.
Well, it seems Conretta had planned and constructed a low wooden platform and placed it on the floor of the restroom so that women using the sinks and mirrors would have to stand on it. Unknown to them, however, Conretta was lying inside the box, peering up their skirts through a peephole.
3 years ago, little Mikey Spruill, age 3, made national news when he commandeered the family car and careened down US 41 near Tampa, Florida, smashing 2 parked cars and narrowly missing several moving ones. Mikey's statement at that time was, "I go zoom." 1 month later, little Mikey, using a cigarette lighter, burned down the family's house, sending his father to the hospital. Now, no more house, Mikey told the press. In April of this year, little Mikey, now age 6, accidentally set fire to his mother's current house in Tampa, Florida, resulting in over $45,000 in damages. This time, however, Mikey had no statement for the press.
Thanks, Brooke. Cute kid, huh, Bob?
Gotta love them. Until they grow up, that is. You'll see why in our next story about an angry snowman who wreaks havoc in Chicago. Stay tuned for the chilling details.
And we'll be back with Mad as Hell, as well as my special feature, Fetishes on Parade. Don't you dare miss it.
It's time for Mad as Hell, our special report dedicated to those out there who just aren't going to take it anymore. Here's Mad as Hell commentator Shane Caldwell. Shane, what's pushing them over the edge this week?
The weather, Bob. After clearing streets for 12 straight hours, Chicago snowplow operator Thomas Blair stopped for dinner and a few drinks, then climbed aboard his plow and began a violent rampage. After smashing parked cars for several blocks, Blair roared onto an expressway and began slamming into moving vehicles. When traffic in front of him stopped, he backed up over a Cadillac, crushing one of the occupants to death. Several other people were injured, though none seriously. "I hate my job," Blair shouted after he was pulled from the plow by pursuing police. "I hate it. I hate it." This is Shane Caldwell with Mad as Hell. Back to you, Bob.
Let's switch to Weird News sweetheart Rhonda Shear to introduce our special feature about people who really enjoy what they're doing. Here's fetish expert Rhonda Shear and this week's Fetishes on Parade.
Ladies, if your man hates housework, do we have the guy for you? Police reported that a burglar in Gilroy, California entered an apartment and proceeded to make the bed, throw out the garbage, wash the dishes, do the laundry, and replace the draperies. The victim found a note saying, "Dear sir, I hope you don't mind that I cleaned your house. Don't worry, I didn't take anything because my father is a duke in Spain." Signed, Prince Eddie. Nice guy. The London Independent recently reported on the Hushabye Baby Club in southern England, whose adult male members dress as female infants and refer to themselves as Baby Michelle, Baby Kathy, etc. A woman called Mummy Claire runs the club, charging about $110 a night. Oh, and $140 for non-members, which includes baby food, bottled milk, and diaper service.
Diaper service?
Yes, Bob. Diaper service.
There's lots more strangeness ahead on News of the Weird. Coming up, Shane Caldwell with Weird Sports, My Strange Business Update, and Weird World Minutes. Stay tuned.
Here's Weird Sports commentator Shane Caldwell. Well, how's it look out there in the weird world of sports, Shane?
Just like every place else, Rhonda, a little strange. The Romanian Soccer Federation fined a Bucharest team over $16,000 in October for a gross rules violation by walking out of a game before it was over. The players, who were losing badly at the time, claim they left the game after fans threatened to charge onto the field and strip the players naked if they gave up 2 more goals.
You know, they say a cat has 9 lives. Does yours need 10? Maybe an Ohio veterinarian can help. Here's our own Bob Stockel with the strange business update.
Thanks, Rhonda. Ohio veterinarian Marshall Pettibone uses a freeze-drying regime to preserve dead pets. Pettibone tells our own Barclay Randall he has a very good reason for doing so.
So, Dr. Pettibone, I've never heard of anything like this. Why freeze-dry?
Oh, freeze-dry? It's simple. Everyone likes to have an animal around the house, favorite pet, whatever. Well, why change that animal every 10 years when you could have it for 50 or 60 years?
We interviewed Ora Mae Lewis, who had her cat Felix freeze-dried after he was run over by an 18-wheel tractor trailer. She told us that Felix was just like he was in real life, only a little flatter. So, Dr. Pettibone, what would you say are the advantages of having a freeze-dried pet as opposed to having a live pet?
The main advantage is it doesn't defecate. It's quiet, very quiet.
So, if you really don't know what to get your loved one for some occasion, think freeze-drying.
Time for a Weird World Minute, a compendium of strange news from around the globe, proving conclusively that foreigners are just as weird as we always thought. Here's Brooke Bryant with our leading story.
An Okayama, Japan company announces that it has manufactured an experimental sausage out of recycled sewage solids by adding steak flavoring and soybean protein. A spokesman said sewage isn't really such a dangerous and dirty thing. He did admit, however, sewage does have a slight image problem.
Biologists at China's Northwest University reported finding a 77-pound slime ball floating on a river in Shanxi province. According to the scientists, the white fungus gained 22 pounds in the first 3 days they observed it and had the ability to move across the ground on its own. We've got a breaking story, Rhonda. Let's switch to Brooke Bryant for the details. Brooke?
This just in, an alarming report from Nova Scotia that an ingredient in boat paint is causing spontaneous sex changes in the dog whelk snail. A British scientist has reported that female dog whelks are growing male sexual organs of, and I quote, alarming lengths. A Canadian biologist tells us similar findings are being reported all over the Atlantic provinces. In Halifax, a team found 50 female dog whelks with male thingies. Back to you, Rhonda.
Moving on, a New Jersey couple finds that dynamite is a surefire cure for boredom. Sounds like a blast? Well, we'll tell you about it when we return for this week's Creme de la Weird Awards. We're back. And now for our favorite part of the show, the stories that always remind us that just when you think you've seen it all, you ain't seen nothing yet. Here are this week's winners of our Special Achievement Awards, the coveted Creme de la Weird.
Gary Blantz, 29, was arrested for kidnapping a bar owner near Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Police reported that Blantz was taken to a hospital after he shot himself in the foot with his .45 caliber revolver to show the victim what would happen if he got out of line.
Amazing, Bob. But this next one's a doozy. Buckle up and hold on. We switch now to Barclay Randall in Oregon.
It was here in the stern beauty of this remote forest that Anthony Roberts of Grants Pass, Oregon, took part in the initiation rite of Mountain Men Anonymous. As part of the ceremony, his friend Michael Kennedy attempted to shoot an empty beer can off Anthony's head with a bow and arrow. Unfortunately, the arrow missed its mark, hitting Anthony in the right eye, penetrating 8 inches into his brain, nearly causing instant death. It was Anthony's lucky day, however. He never lost consciousness, survived, and was released from the hospital 2 days later. I recently caught up with Mr. Roberts in Grants Pass for this exclusive interview. I'm here visiting with Anthony, his lovely wife Suzanne, and their little daughter Tonya. Now that's Tonya, like the ice skater, right? Now Anthony here was just showing me the arrow that actually penetrated his skull. Now this is the arrow, isn't it, Anthony?
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay, now let me just make sure I get this right. Okay, so you just stood there while some guy aimed this at your face.
No, I aimed it at a beer can.
Yeah, but it was a beer can on top of your head, of which your face is a part, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and you said a beer can, and so is it fair to say that there was alcohol in the can before it was emptied?
Sure.
So it's fair to say that alcohol was involved in the incident?
Yeah.
And what about you, little Tonya? What do you think of your daddy's accident?
Mommy thinks it's stupid.
Yeah, we're lucky it hit him in the brain instead of someplace important.
I certainly can't add anything to that. Back to you, Rhonda.
Oh, there's a lot more to say, Barclay. And here's Bob Stockel to present this week's Creme de la Weird Grand Prize winner.
Rhonda, the grand prize this week goes to Paul Stiller and his wife Bonnie of Andover Township, New Jersey. Congratulations, guys. Paul and Bonnie, cruising around town at 2 a.m. in the morning, were seriously injured when a quarter stick of dynamite blew up in their car. The couple, who admitted they were bored, lit the dynamite and attempted to toss it out the window to see what would happen. Unfortunately, Paul and Bonnie failed to notice that the window was closed. As little Mikey would say, Rhonda, car go boom.
And as we would say, Bob, we go bye-bye until next week.
This is Bob Stockel,
Barclay Randall,
Shane Caldwell,
Brooke Bryant.
And Rhonda Shear, reminding you to close the windows. Don't open the door. Just stay inside. It's weird out there. We'll be back next week to keep you up to date.
News of the Weird is a must-have for your television station.
Just when you think you've seen it all, you ain't seen nothing yet.
It's real news, true stories from around the world and your neighborhood. No tabloid material included. It's real people, from the high and mighty to the average Joe.
Like, well, me.
It's real entertainment, a laugh in every story. It's real weird. Truth is stranger than fiction.
We'll have a blast, won't we?
It's real flexible, the perfect companion for any weekend programming. It's real friendly, equal appeal to both men and women, target 18 to 34-year-olds.
And they're gonna love this show.
It's real unique, one-of-a-kind stories that will tickle your funny bone. It's real fast. If your local news was this fast, you'd have a 40 share.
This one is a doozy.
It's real fun. If we knew how to make it into a sitcom, it would follow Seinfeld.
And let's face it, it's just funny as hell.
Television is meant to be fun.
And thanks for taking the time to check us out.